Hey everybody, Mako here from Airsoft GI, and I'm joined today by Aaron, our newest employee at the California Walk-In Store, and we got a great head-to-head for you guys. Now, this has been asked for a very long time now. We're doing the Classic Army X9 versus the G&G ARP-9, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so before we get too far into the review, Aaron, tell us a little bit more about yourself so people can learn a little bit more about you.
Hey guys, so I've been working and playing Airsoft for about 2 years, 1.5 years max. But I usually play at Tac City or N1, and I run a G4 custom CQB build that my manager at the storefront actually built out for me.
Shout out Cisco, he makes some pretty dope customs out there, so if you haven't seen him yet, check him out. All right, so features-wise, the ARP-9 has a few things here and there that are pretty cool. You got the PDW style stock, G&G's ETU, as well as their kind of latch release system, similar to an MP5 or an AK, and then you do also get the 4-inch rail up front. So there's really not too much going on externally that would, blow your mind on the ARP-9. Now, Aaron, go ahead and take it on the X9 right there.
So the X9 comes fitted with the PDW style stock and also an M-LOK rail. Comparative to the ARP-9, however, the Nemesis sports a full metal construction. It runs better internally than the ARP-9. And personally, my biggest selling point on the X9 is the larger battery space in the PDW style stock. PDW style stocks usually end up having less battery space than like a crane style, but the Nemesis actually sports a larger compartment for it.
No, absolutely. Now, compared to like the ARP-9, let me go ahead and just take this out real quick, but ARP-9 is actually fairly small for the size you're getting. You see a pretty decent sized buffer tube, but it's pretty easy to get to, but the issue is G&G includes just so much wiring that I feel is fairly unnecessary, because you got your connector and a fuse, and then you do also got their entire MOSFET unit right there, and then you have your battery space. So trying to stuff all this back in with an 11.1 is fairly difficult, so that's one of the negatives that G&G might have, as opposed to the X9, if you want to go ahead and show everybody the battery space on that. So get this all back in one piece.
Like you can see, all you gotta do is pull the tab down, pull this little piece out, and you have this whole compartment to stick probably like a stick type 11.1, pretty much down a little farther into the buffer tube, past the actual stock extension.
All right, so internally, the G&G does feature G&G's electronic trigger unit. Now you can go between safe semi-full to safe semi-3-round burst, and then I believe that's the only programmability that G&G really offers. As opposed to the Classic Army, you can get safe semi-full, safe 3-round burst, full, safe semi-3-round burst, safe 5-round burst, full, and then semi-semi. So you can even semi-lock these for fields that do require that. I know there's a lot to go over, but Classic Army included a lot out of the box with their programmability. Comparing the gearboxes, they both use a stainless steel gearbox shell, but that's about where the similarities end. G&G uses just a standard piston. I believe it has a few metal teeth on it, if I'm not mistaken. One of their standard motors, as well as their standard gear set, which I believe is an 18-to-1 gear set. Classic Army, however, uses a full metal rack piston, as well as their CNC cut gears. They actually changed the material on it. They're a lot more durable now, and they lower the ratio down to an 18-to-1 as well. So you're gonna be seeing a very similar rate of fire as far as gears go. And then the motor-wise, Classic Army actually features a 31K motor with all of their Nemesis line. So you get very good torque, very good speed, and it's a very well-performing motor that you can actually drop into a lot of guns and consider it an upgrade as well. Moving up a bit from the gearbox, you do also get a 603 Type R barrel out of the Classic Army, as opposed to a standard 605 that comes in the G&G. So you're gonna get a little bit better accuracy out of the Classic Army than you would with the G&G. And then a very cool thing to note too is that if you run mid caps in your ARP-9, but you want a higher capacity of 60 rounds, the Classic Army magazines will actually work just fine in these guys. So Classic Army magazine locks right in, and it's gonna feed perfectly fine in your ARP-9. Now, a bit of a note too, because of the way that the X9 actually locks in its magazines, it uses more of a standard Glock style lock. The magazines from the ARP-9 will not work in the X9. All right, so we got a few tests to show which one truly is the best. We don't want to go just purely off of features on that. So right now we're going to go ahead and do a FPS variance test to see which one has the smallest variance between the two of them. So let's go ahead and get into that. All right, so we're back here in the warehouse doing the FPS variance test. What we're going to do is we're each going to take 5 shots, and whichever gun has the smaller variance will be the winner of this test. So let's go ahead and get into it. G&G with their tight battery compartment. That's what I was talking about. Like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just going to leave it open like that for this test and the shooting test, because it's too much of a pain to try to get it. There we go. All right, so safety first. So we got 11.1 LiPo, some .20 gram BBs loaded up, and then So this is P-Force 0.20 gram BBs out of the G&G ARP-9.
325, 326, 327, 326, 326.
So about a 2 FPS variance from the that was 5 shots, right?
Yeah.
So about a 2 FPS variance from the G&G, so let's go and see how the Classic Army does.
All right, this is the Classic Army Nemesis with .20 BBs. If you would do the same.
No problem. 335.7, 337, 335, 336, 339. Alright, so we just wrapped up the FPS variance test, and the G&G actually took the cake on this one. Now, it was actually a very close race, and both of these numbers are phenomenally good. The G&G had a variance of about 2 feet per second, peaking at 327 with a low of 325. And then the X9 had about a 4 FPS variance, peaking at 339, and then lowest is 335. So regardless of which one you go with, that's still a very good compression for both guns. Most guns you'll see anywhere between like a 7 to 8 FPS variance, but overall both guns did very well, but the G&G did have slightly less, so it's going to go ahead and take the win on that one.
So that was the FPS test. Now we're gonna head outside and do the shooting test comparison between the two. Hey guys, so this is the X9 using .25 BBs. About 10 meters away. .25s are usually pretty good for this size barrel, so let's get into it. So at about 10 meters, we hit 5 for 5. Okay, here's the X9 at about 25 meters, still with the .25 BBs. So it seems like we hit about 4 out of 5 from about 25 with .25s. All right guys, so final test, X9, about 40 meters away, still with the .25 BBs. So we hit 3 for 5 for about 40 meters. All right, so the mic's gonna do the same 3 distances with the ARP-9 with the same .25 BB.
Alright, so I'm here with the G&G ARP-9 with some .25 gram BBs at about 10 meters, same test that Aaron did, so let's go ahead and see how this does. Alright, so that was 5 for 5 at this distance, so let's go ahead and back it up. Alright, so we're about 25 meters now, 5 shots with .25 gram BB. So that one was 2 for 5. As you guys know, I'm not the best shot, so I might have been me. Let's go and back it up one more time to see how this does at about 40 meters. All right, so last set of shots, about 40 meters. Let's see how this does. One. I know for a fact I got one. I don't know if I got the second one, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, say it was 2 out of 5 at the 40 meter range.
So for the range test, we shot at 10, 25, and 40 meters. The ARP-9 hit for 5 for 5. The first test, second test, it was 2 for 5, and then third test was also 2 for 5. Rounding up with the X9 shot 5 for 5 from 10. Next round was 4 for 5, and then 3 for 5. So going down 1 every test.
Yep, so, and as you guys saw from the top 4 AEG comparison test, I'm not the best shot, so that might have been me, might have been the gun, we don't know, but definitely the Classic Army 603 helped it out in the longer test of that. Even when I was watching from the side, I could still see the grouping was tighter, even though it was still shooting the same general area. All right, so features-wise, the X9 is pretty much head and shoulders above the ARP-9. There's no other way to put it. Better battery space, better internally. You got a better barrel as well, and it's full metal. Personally, that's a pro for me. I don't know about you guys, but I prefer realism over lightweight, and it really isn't that much heavier, so I don't think that should be something that could be considered a hindrance. So that category is going to go to the X9. As far as FPS variance goes, they're both very good guns, and the G&G just barely edged it out by a 2 FPS margin, as opposed to the X9 we got a 4 FPS margin. So win on that one is going to go to the ARP-9.
So for the range test, we actually found that the X9 was more consistent with the shots, hitting 5 for 5, 4 for 5, and then 3 for 5, comparative to the ARP-9 that hit 5 for 5, then 2 for 5 for the rest. So it goes to the X9 for the range test. So to tally up the totals, the ARP-9 grabs a 1 for the total, and the X9 grabs a 2, meaning the X9 is the winner of this comparison.
Alright guys, and thanks again for watching. My name is Michael, this is Aaron, and make sure you do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notifications icon so you can be notified anytime we update brand new content here. And if you want to stay up to date on any of the storefronts so you can keep an eye on Aaron, see what he's doing, or any of the other stores, Texas and Virginia, you can follow them at ASGI California on Instagram, at GI Tactical _TX for Texas, and then at GI Tactical VA for our Virginia store. So make sure you follow them on Instagram, and then do also follow me on Instagram. It's at airsoftgi.com. That's DOT.com. That's our main page, Instagram, and I'm usually on that. So thanks again for tuning in. This has been GI TV. We'll see you on the next one.